All right, good morning. Let's see, this is our second class, and once again, we're not meeting in person, but we'll do the best we can with our online learning. We're going to have a couple videos this morning that you'll need to watch. I'm down here in my office slash workshop in my basement. Let's see, you can see a little bit of what we've got down here. I don't know. I can't see what the camera's showing, but you can kind of see what I'm working with. As I mentioned in last class, I'm a cyclist, so I've got a bike over here that you just saw that's in the process of going through some modifications. I'll actually be designing some parts in Fusion 360 for bike packing that I'll be using. We'll cover that more later in class. What you see in front of us is a project I'm going to work through today. And what the intent of this project is, I want to show you what do we do to start a project? What's the process? Okay. What is this? Okay. Last class or the last video, you saw this assembly of the simplified engine cylinder. All right. So we've got a piston, the crank arm, the crankshaft, and here is the engine block that the piston moves up and down. This has to be a very precise fitting. Precise is a term that you're going to hear me use a lot. When we create our designs, they have to fit together perfectly. Precision, okay? A lot of you guys struggle with this. It does make a difference. When I give you dimensions, they're important because they all are planned out and fit together. Let's go look at the dimension sheet for this particular design, because once again, we're going to design the block and we're going to figure out our approach. So here's the dimension sheet. I'm going to flip over to it. There we are. Okay, now it doesn't state it in here, but it does when we get to this project, it does state it in the instructions. All the measurements are inches. Okay, so this was a fairly confusing design when you look at it. But let's grab the basics. Well, first of all, what basics do I need? Where am I going to start? Now, we could look at this and build from the bottom up. That's actually going to be pretty difficult to do. Okay, where we would build this base block and then add this framework above it, then the shelving, and cut this out, cut that out. That's going to be a lot of steps. It's going to make this project a lot harder. The easiest approach to this project is to start with a large rectangular block and start cutting away the material we don't need anymore. To build it from the bottom up, piece by piece, would be an additive approach. We're going to flip it and we are going to use a subtractive approach. So we're going to build the whole thing, create a big block, and we're going to start whittling away. Whittling, that's a term. How many people know that term? Used to be a pastime before you had games and all the things that you do now, phones and games and so forth. It's where you might take a knife and whittle away a piece of wood and make something from it by removing. You can whittle away a stick of wood and make a whistle, so to speak. It would be something that people used to do. I've done that myself, as a matter of fact, in the past. All right, so where are we going to start? What are our dimensions to start off with? So I've identified we're going to use the subtractive approach. Next, I need the dimensions of this approach. So I'm going to build out a rectangle here, the width, including these overhangs, okay, and the depth of it. So my depth I can find right here. From front to back is 3 inches, okay? Got that right there because that measures from the very outer edge to this edge. There's no overhang on the front. The width, well, I've got this measurement of 5.25, but I don't give you the width from this point to this point. But I do tell you these overhangs are 0.375 inches. That's 3/8 of an inch, okay, on each side. So 3/8 here and 3/8 here. 0.375. Well, we've got two of them, right? So 0.375 times 2 gives me 3/4 of an inch, 0.75. All right, so 5.25 plus 0.75 gives me 6. So I'm going to draw an initial rectangle on the top bottom plane, 6 inches wide, 3 inches deep. The overall height of my design then is 8 inches. So remember from the last video, we'll extrude to add depth. So I'll extrude that rectangle by 8 inches. So I'll have a block that is 6 inches wide, 3 inches deep, 8 inches tall. Now, the overhang is 5.25, or is 3/8 of an inch wide, okay, on the back and on the sides. So I'm going to remove, it's also a 1/2 inch in height. I'm going to remove this outer section, 3/8 of an inch from the sides and the back, and cut it away from the bottom 7.5 inches up, leaving this overhang. Okay, so we'll have that part taken care of. Then I'm going to come back and cut away this top opening. Okay, that opening is 4.5 inches wide, and it comes back. Let's see, the total depth is 3 inches. We know, well, how deep is this? How thick is this wall? Well, that's something we're going to have to derive because I don't give it to you, do I? All right, we know this is 5.25 inches from here to here. Okay, this inner is 4.5 inches wide. We're going to, since it's not marked, assume these walls are the same thickness. The 5.25 inches less the 4.5 inches leaves us with 0.75. 0.75, we have two sides here that need to make up the 0.75. We'll divide that by 2, leaving us each side 3.5 inches, or 3/8 of an inch, 0.375 inches in width. Now, we know this is 0.375 inches, and this is 0.375 inches. So the overall width from here to here is 0.75. We could have done that another way. We know from here to here 6 inches. We know this is 4.5 inches from here to here. So that leaves us 1.5 inches on each side, evenly divided. 1.5 inches divided by 2 leaves us with 3/4 of an inch on each side, or 0.75. These are calculations you're going to be required to make on your own throughout class, okay? Because I don't give you every measurement. You're going to have to figure it out. It's the process of figuring out how to come up with a design on your own. You have to be able to derive what these measurements are. Now you'll see, so we'll cut that out. That is going to be 4.5 inches. Okay, it's 3.5 inches back. We know that this is 0.75 from here to here. So this is going to be 2.25 inches from the front to the back, 4.5 inches by 2.25 inches. We're going to cut it down. It goes halfway down, so it's going to be cut out 4 inches down. That'll make this opening. Then we'll draw this shape on the back wall and cut it out. Draw this opening, which is 3 inches wide, a radius of 1.5. So we'll use an arc tool to cut that out, and we'll be done. So my videos can only be 15 minutes long, so I'm probably can get started here. I'm going to go check the time I have left. All right, I got 4 minutes left. We can get the first steps or two in before I have to start the second video. Now, the important thing to realize in all that talking, what was I explaining? What was I going through? I had a plan, okay? I don't start a project without a plan. Never start a project without having a plan of what you're going to do. You're going to hear me stress that over and over and over. And that's going to be a question to answer for the discussion that you have to post in a little bit. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, maybe I should show you what I just did. I've got this screen up. I need a fresh canvas. The canvas is the portion of Fusion that we draw on. To get a fresh canvas, I'm going to hit the plus sign right there. Now, I got to create my two-dimensional geometry, so I'm going to create a sketch. Here's my sketch, create sketch. We talked about we're going to build it from the bottom up, this block. So I'm going to create my sketch on the top bottom plane. These are things that you'll have to identify as you move through and start creating designs on your own. Where am I going to start it? Where am I going to approach it from? Top bottom in this case. All right, a 2-point rectangle is what we're going to create. Create rectangle, 2-point rectangle. There's a shortcut for it I just clicked on. My first click to create the rectangle is one corner. I'm going to bring it out. Well, I'm not in inches. It's showing millimeters, so I'm going to type 6. And I can make it inches by typing IN. There we go. We got inches. Tab, and I get my other dimension box. These little boxes I'm keying the values in are called dimension boxes. 3 inches. And enter. Let's go ahead and change our default setting for this project to inches. So this is the browser up here. I've gone into the browser. I hit the arrow to expand document settings. I'm going to expand the units, edit it, change it to inches, click OK. And notice it went from displaying millimeters to inches. I'm going to finish sketch, up to the view cube, home position. I'm going to extrude it. I'm going to add depth, and I'm going to make it 8 inches. Enter. I'm going to go down here to the nav bar, fit, and there's the start of my design. I'm going to stop this video here, and we're going to move on to a second video that you'll watch, and we'll complete this project. And let's